Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to season number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics right here on Apex Racing TV, where our GT3 and TCR drivers have embarked on a 7-round sojourn, I think it's 7 rounds, to some of North America's, Europe's, and Asia's most storied circuits. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod, along with the 2 Johns tonight, Jonathan Grabowski and John Robertson, in the virtual production trailer, bringing you all the best sights and sounds of tonight's action. And so tonight we leave North America behind and head to a track that I believe Larry once referred to as a giant go-kart track, known most recently for its epic DTM and GT World Challenge battles. This circuit, nestled in the Rhine Valley, should prove a very good fit for our 2 classes. The track has seen many changes over its 90-year history. Like many pre-war European circuits, it originally utilized the host town's own streets, and like its big brother, the Nürburgring, much of each lap was spent meandering through the nearby forests. And with the stadium section making its debut in 1965 and those blasts through the forest eliminated in 2001, tonight should bring us 75 minutes of high-speed action around the 2.8-mile 16-turn Hockenhiem ring. And so good evening, Larry, and welcome to our own little Cabot Cove, where hopefully nobody gets murdered during an interclass battle.
Let's hope not. Yes, I do think this Hockenhiem ring these days is a lot like a go-kart track. A lot of twisties, a lot of turns, a lot of switchbacks. It's going to make it interesting with multi-class racing tonight. I do so miss the trip to the woods, though, from 20-some-odd years ago. That was a good time. But I think we're still going to have some pretty good racing here between these TCRs and GT3s, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. 75 minutes of action.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And after the flat track at Indianapolis, I was hoping that maybe we'd head somewhere with maybe a little bit of elevation change, and
not here.
Well, not so much here. All right, well, tell you what, Larry. I've gotten word that our own Gene Stapleton, that's Kevin Ford, has turned things over to Angela Lansbury this week here at the Hockenhiem ring. We're going to pass things off to Bobby Childs, who I believe for the 2nd time this season is going to give us tonight's track guide.
Hi, this is Bobby Childs, driver of the number 88 Ferrari 488 GT3 for D2D iRacing, and tonight I am going to give you a lap guide around Hockenhiem. This is a very, very technical track, a place that you might consider that you're racing the track more than you're racing the drivers around you. You have to be very careful with the rumble strips and the curbs. Some of them it's safe to run on, some of them all they do is upset the car massively. The way the GT3s now rely on the arrows so much. Without further ado, let's get this lap going. Now, we are in the S's. And this is an area we'll talk about more later, but you really are going to want to keep these last 2 corners in mind as a single corner. We can use a little bit of that, use the runoff over here. Now we're on the front straight, power down. We're looking for around the 75 mark. Hard brake and turn in, but watch out for that curve. You only want to hit that curve if you plan to leave early and go watch a rerun of Murder, She Wrote. Now, right about the access road, hard braking down into first gear, get the car turned in easy on the gas so we don't spin the tires. Let the car swing all the way out. Let's keep that momentum up. If you try to keep it tight, all it does is slow the car down. Now, down this somewhat straightaway, you're going to take a breath, take a drink, whatever you got to do. Calm down. We're looking for the rumble strips on the left and hard braking down into this tight hairpin. We want to kind of late apex it a little bit, hard back on the gas. Watch out for the runoff on the left, though. It'll mess you up big time. This next corner coming up, you think you want to turn in late, but you don't. You want to turn in early. There's no reason to turn out late. Now we're going to hard brake right about halfway down that rumble strip on the right. Again, easy on the throttle. We want a lot of grip coming out of here. Just letting off the throttle a little bit. Woo! You got to watch out for that area too. It'll throw the car for a loop. Braking into 4th, into 3rd, about halfway through to get that rotation and acceleration. Now we're looking for the 50, down into second gear, get the car turned in early because there's that hell of a bump out on the right. Let the car swing out, crush that curve right there, and a quick downshift and turn in. And again, we're going to treat this like one corner, some throttle, a little bit of brake. And we're back on the front straightaway now. And oh my gosh, that's a lap of Hockenhiem. And here's the Murder She Wrote lap. Oh, see what it goes to the car. Oh yeah, that's what you do if you want to go watch Murder She Wrote instead of racing in the Ricmotech World Challenge.
All right, thank you so much to Bobby Childs for tonight's track guide. And Larry, you know, Bobby, like I said, he's no Gene Stapleton, although he might be Tom Bosley. So anyway, thank you so much to Bobby Childs, and hopefully next time he'll hit the wall when he makes a little move like that and tries to show us all up. All right, let's do this. We've got drivers heading out on track right now for their 15-minute qualifying session, in which we're going to give each driver 4 flying laps in order to set the grid, and they're just getting underway right now. So let's quickly take a look back to just a couple weeks ago at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll run down the finishing order, at least the podiums, and give you where we stand in the championship right now after 4 rounds complete of 7 here in the World Challenge. We'll start off with the TCR class, where Eric Violet from D2D eRacing took the win over Brad Husty from Husty Racing, and that was a race that perhaps we might have expected a little different turnout there, as Scott Brooks, who had done so well over the last couple of events, found himself back in 6th position. But Eric Violet took the win. Brad Husty, who started 4th in the evening, only 3 seconds back. Coming home in second, Nick Horvath from Lead Paw Racing, who we're going to be talking to hopefully in just a few moments, finished on the last step of the podium. And if we take a look at the current point standings now in TCR, it is the Hyundai Elantra driver of Eric Violet, your current points leader from D2D eRacing. His teammate Brandon Whitworth currently sitting 2nd in the championship, 17 points back, and tied with Brad Husty for 2nd. Then we've got Nick Horvath sitting now technically 4th in the championship with a total of 85 points, about 10 points back, and not just about, but really 10 points back from Whitworth and Husty. And then we've got Tom Jenkins, who is currently sitting 5th in the championship, driving for TGT Racing. All of these drivers in Hyundai Elantras. It's not till you get to Mike Polachek in the number 47 machine, who has 2 wins on the season so far. 2 wins out of 4. Violet has the other 2, but Polachek was not at Indianapolis, and he's of course driving the Honda Civic. He's our first driver in the championship not in a Hyundai. All right, let's take a look now at GT3 AM, where Jordan Segrini took the win in AM at Indianapolis. Margin of victory over Steve Daniel, over a half a minute. And shouldn't be any surprise then, although I don't believe he's got his livery updated. Shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that Jordan Segrini, who we're watching on track right now, is now going to be running in the pro category. So when I talk about colors and number boards and stuff like that, we're going to have to make a little exception for the number 8 machine. But we'll get to that in a moment. Steve Daniel in the SKKJ Racing Ferrari came home in 2nd, and then Dean Dibdahl and Larry Dean hanging on for dear life, I think, might be the understatement of the evening. The ZP Motorsports driver came home in 3rd, had been leading the race, and had no tires to speak of at the end of that extended round at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Managed to hang on for dear life, came home in third, a lap down, and then just off the podium was Ed Morris. And if we take a look at the championship standings now, in AM, Steve Daniel now moves to the top of the standings in the SKKJ Racing machine. He's got an 11-point advantage now over John Sterling from Team Collusion. John with 67 points, just 1 point up from Dean Dibdahl. So, Dibdahl's got to be beating himself, and hopefully for him, he found a way to make the tires in that Porsche last. There he is in the number 19 machine right now, currently second fastest in qualifying in the AM category. He's got 66 points, is third in the championship, only 2 points clear of Nathan Thomas in the Lamborghini Huracan, and then the Primetime Motorsports machine of Alex Brown, currently sitting in fifth position. And so let's take a look now over at the Pro category, where we had taking the win. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong stuff right now. There we go. There we go. Taking the win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I believe, Larry, at this point, running the table, 4 wins, 4 races. Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing's Evan Peichel in the number 23 machine, margin of victory over Mike Dam. And maybe this was the biggest surprise of them all, almost 30 seconds separating Peichel from Orion Racing's best and brightest last time out. We had Robert Hartley and Travis Schwenke follow their teammate Mike Dam across the line. Hartley finishing on the last step of the podium, Schwenke just off in fourth, and then Nick Resputo from HPDS Academy came home in fifth position. And so if we take a look at the point standings now in Pro, it is Evan Peichel, surprise, surprise, with 4 wins on the season in his Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing Porsche 911. Currently has 116 points. He's 13, lucky 13 clear of Mike Dam. It's another 10 points back to Dam's teammate Travis Schwenke. And then Jennifer McDonald sitting 27 points off the lead, only 4 points back from Schwenke. And McDonald, not the best outing for her at Indianapolis, where she finished in 6th position. She had a real good start, fell back early, finishes in 6th, and she came into the evening there at Indianapolis. Actually, I believe back 7th place in the championship. So she did move up a couple of positions, but currently they're sitting right now in 4th with Resputo in the HPDS Academy machine sitting in 5th. So, Larry, why don't we take a look now that we're about halfway through qualifying and see where we stand?
Yeah, Peichel continuing his domination here after the 4 straight wins comes in. He's already sitting in on a provisional front row pole position spot, running a little bit wide there, right on cue. Thanks, Evan, for showing that there is a little bit of a chink in the armor there, and maybe there's a hope for everyone behind him. I was going to say about our second in points there, Mike Dam, is that he's been dominant. He's been dominant if it wasn't for Evan Peichel winning every race.
Yes.
But Mike Dam's been out there finishing second in every race.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and in between second and third, he's had some pretty big margins. The problem is that Evan Peichel has been on another level in this Porsche all season long, and there may have been some balance and performance added to the Porsche, some extra weight and some fuel restrictions and things set up for him to try and make things a little more difficult, but it doesn't seem to have an effect, at least on his single flying lap time so far. As he's a couple tenths now up on Mike Dam, who's moved himself into second, just ahead of teammate Hartley and Schwenke there, currently in the 4th spot. But these Orion guys are going to have the work cut out for him to try and keep up with Evan here at the Hockenhiem. This is a difficult track to pass for these kinds of cars, so I think these guys are going to have to probably try to make a move early on or try and do some sort of over-undercut come pit time. And then there's always the fun of the intermixing of classes with the TCRs, because I think that battle is going to be pretty strong in TCR, and I think there's going to be a pack of them to get through. So a lot of fun to look forward to tonight between these two classes at this classic touring car type track.
Yeah, indeed, Larry. And so talking about the balance of performance, we had our drivers a couple weeks ago take to the track for some extended testing to determine whether or not there was a need to adjust the performance levels of some of these machines, and a couple of machines gained some additional weight. The BMW M4s, like we have Andrew Packer on track driving right now, the number 167 machine, picked up 5 kilograms of additional weight. The Mercedes, and this might affect our Orion triumvirate of Mike Dam, Hartley, and also pardon me for a second, Travis Schwenke there. 3 kilograms added to those machines. The Porsche, a massive 20 kilograms. So that certainly could affect Evan Peichel. It could affect Dean Dibdahl in the AM category as well. But in addition to that, the Porsches had a small reduction in horsepower from the base, about 0.5%. And as we mentioned, the Porsches running with a slightly lower fuel load as well this week going into things. So as you take a look at the timing pylon there on the left-hand side of your screen, as you watch our cars on track, of course, we're watching right now Eric Violet, who is our provisional pole sitter in TCR. All of the TCR cars, which for the moment, well, I was going to say for the moment are all Hyundais, except for Mike Polishek in his Honda Civic Type R, who just jumped up to second fastest on his very first flying lap. All of the TCR cars, they've got blue number boards, blue windshield banners, blue mirrors, blue end plates on the wings, and if you take a look at them on that timing tower on the side, well, right now we've got them marked off so you can see exactly which cars are the TCRs, but they'll have their positions in blue. Our AM category drivers, and taking a look, and I think right now Andrew Packer might be our only AM category driver out on track. They've got the green number boards, the green mirrors, number end plates, windshield banners, you name it. And then our pro category drivers, well, we don't have any on track, but just imagine they're all red and not green, and that's how you'll find them, except for Mr. Segrini, who is running with the green this weekend because we didn't get it updated in time. But let's take a look here, as most of our drivers have completed their 4 flying laps. Looks like Evan Peichel, the exception in the pro category, as he has only turned 3 flying laps, but doesn't need the 4th, as he's got provisional pole right now, and he's got the pole by almost half a second, it looks like. There, Mike Dam, second fastest, Robert Hartley in 3rd, all in Mercedes, and actually 4 of our top 5 machines are all the Mercedes AMG GT3s. The big exception, of course, is our provisional pole sitter. In the AM category, Alex Brown, in the number 43 BMW, he is your provisional pole sitter with Dean Dibdahl in his ZP Motorsports Porsche. Second fastest, Brennan Horan, in the pardon me, D2D iRacing machine, the Lamborghini. He is your 3rd fastest. Pardon me, he's driving a Ferrari, not a Lamborghini. The D2D iRacing Ferrari, 3rd fastest, and AM Nate Thomas in a Lamborghini, 4th fastest. And now there you go, Larry, with 2 flying laps in the books. Mike Polishek jumping to the top of the leaderboard there in TCR, moving Eric Violet to temporarily to the outside of the front row. Although Violet, he's not going to be able to prove he's run his 4 flying laps already.
Do we want to bring in our pre-race interview real quick?
I think we should. Let's see where there he is. He's in waiting room number 1. Let's bring in Nick Horvath, driver of the number 82 Lead Paw Racing Hyundai Elantra, currently running 4th in the championship, and had a great outing at Indianapolis. Finished on the 3rd step of the podium, Larry.
Hey, Nick, how's your evening going so far? How'd qualifying run?
Oh, qualifying's a bit tricky, but it's going good. Everything's going just according to plan.
Well, that's good. So I guess speaking of plan, what was your plan coming into, I guess, this season, and how has that been going to that plan?
Well, the plan coming into this season, this being my first time running the World Challenge, was mainly just to go with the flow, see how it plays out. Same thing as usual with any new series, just sort of play it by ear, see how things go. If you're fast, you're fast. If not, just work your way up from there. And right now, it's just been up and up.
Yeah, it's a fantastic series for sure. But as kind of the rookie, the new guy coming in, has the adjustment been good for you? Have you been enjoying it so far?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's one of the best leagues I'm running in right now. Big thank you to Lead Paw Racing for having me race with them. Sponsors Fanatec, Poria Customs, and SimLab. It's just been a heck of a time. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, you got a good team helping you out there. But we got a big 75-minute race here in front of us tonight. Don't want to hold you up. Want to make sure you're already there on the grid. And good luck with any chance. Maybe we'll be able to see you in about 75 minutes for another interview.
Thank you very much.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Nick Horvath from Lead Paw Racing, driver of the 82 Hyundai Elantra, and Nick is qualified 5th tonight in TCR. And Larry, we've got our starting grid up on the screen. Let's run things down. In pro, your pole sitter tonight is Evan Peichel. Qualifying time for him 1:35 and something that I can't read. There you go. Mike Dam's going to start right next to him from Orion Racing on the outside of row number 1. Robert Hartley, also from Orion Racing, is going to start 3rd tonight with Nick Risputo from HPDS Racing starting in 4th. Travis Schwenke will start on the inside of row number 3 with Jordan Segrini in his very first outing in the pro category. He's going to start 6th tonight. Chris Thorman from D2DE Racing, he's going to start on the inside of row number 4. His teammate David Payton going to start right next to him.
In the GT3 AM category on the pole tonight, we've got, as it just kind of scrolled right up by me, we got Alex Brown. Alex Brown will be on the pole tonight there in the AM category. Alongside him is going to be Dean Dibdahl in that Porsche. On the second row in AM, you've got Brandon Hoare, D2E Racing in the inside alongside Nathan Thomas, Driftline Racing. Row 3, Andrew Packer, the Canadian 67 Sim Racing, alongside Steve Daniel, our points leader in SKKJ Racing there in row 3. Row 4, Jose Cabrera Racing for Mental Health alongside Russ Ruddock in the Flying Tortoise Motorsport. And on row 5, John Casey in 046 Racing will be lined up with Robert Brist in RFC. And I'll quickly run through the TCRs here as well. On the pole, Mike Polasek alongside Eric Violette on the front row. On the second row, Tom Jenkins and Brad Husty. Third row is going to be Nick Horvath, Scott Brooks, and Marlon Jones making up the fourth row. And we are green.
There we go. And our GT3 drivers get the green flag. We'll see the TCR start in just a moment as our pole sitter, Evan Peichel, cuts right across the front of the Mercedes of Mike Dam as they go through turn 1. None of our drivers at the front of the field pull the Bobby Childs move there over the curbing. And our top 2 leaders. And let's see, and now you see now on the right side of your screen is our TCR cars coming onto the front straight and waiting for the green flag, and they get the green as well as our TCR drivers. It is currently Peichel, then Dam, then Nick Risputo sitting in 3rd, Robert Hartley falling back in the 4th, and Travis Schwenke and Jordan Segrini running in 6th position. Dean Dibdahl and Alex Brown, your top 2 in AM, they are running 7th and 8th respectively as we watch our TCR cars side by side going down into turn number 1, jumping to the lead. Mike Polachek in the Honda Civic Type R. He is side by side with Eric Violette, the D2DE Racing Hyundai Elantra. That has not gone and worked out yet. And then Husty and then Jenkins as we jump back to this GT3 battle up at the front. And right now we're on board with Jose Cabrera from Not a Team Racing, sitting back in 7th position in the number 18 machine. Started towards the tail end of the AM category field in his Ferrari, trying to make up some ground right now on Andrew Packer's BMW.
Yeah, cold tires abound around here on these opening laps between both classes here, the GT3s as well as the TCRs. It's been fun to kind of see how well they manage these cold tires early on. Polasek, so far, being able to open up just a couple car lengths gap on Eric Violette, but Husty really pushing hard there in that 3rd spot, trying to keep Eric a little bit honest there in that 2nd spot. Polasek, though, off to a pretty good go-round here as they're now up on their 2nd lap. But look at them running wide. So difficult to run some of these corners. And already Steve Daniels spinning in that number 96 SKKJ Racing entry. Doesn't look like he made contact maybe anywhere, but definitely going to lose probably about 10 seconds of time
10
there.
seconds or so, yeah. And we're going to take a look as we come here and he gets back on the racing line and continues on. And yeah, he's going to lose a ton of ground all the way back in the field as we jump back now to our top 5 drivers. As we see here, both of the Orion Racing racers, Hartley and Schwenke, falling back behind Nick Resputo in that black number 132 machine, who happen to be falling off our lead pair of Dam and Peichel just a little bit. They're starting to open up maybe just the littlest of gaps back to Resputo.
Yeah, let's check the replay there of Steve Daniels' spin and see how that went down. Let's see him there as we're on board with him going through what I believe is turn 1, catching a little bit of curve, but not a lot. The back end just doesn't want to stay under him. Still trying to warm those up, and he does make contact with that pit exit wall. So that may have a bit of an effect on him long-term in the race if there's any sort of alignment issues or cooling issues on that car. So unfortunately for him, that's going to start off his long nights, make it feel even longer.
As Bobby Childs would say, murder she wrote, and looking for an Emmy there. Of course, Angela Lansbury only able to pick up 4 Emmy awards, or probably she didn't pick up any Emmy awards. She picked up Golden Globe awards. Who cares? So anyway, let's.
Stubby, did you catch that? Are you keeping up tonight? Make sure Stubby's got all the notes. I'm sure he's an Angela Lansbury fan.
I'm hoping Stubby's here and he's keeping the. Actually, I don't see Stubby, nor do I see Bobby for that matter in the chat. I don't know what's going on. All right, let's look over here as we're looking right in the heart of the GT3 action, and you can see there with the red mirrors, that is David Payton, currently running 7th in Pro in the D2D E-Racing Lamborghini, and right back behind him is his teammate Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine.
Yeah, so right on board here with Nate Thomas, trailing that David Payton. And you just see how tight and twisty this section is. You know, you almost have to force to get up alongside somebody to have any sort of chance, because it's just constantly switching back left to rights, left to rights. It's just this whole infield section, just not a lot of just long, wide open stretches or anything. As the 45 of Brennan Horn kind of going for a wild corner exit right. Speaking of side-by-sides, here it is. This is the 60 of Thorman, and alongside him, the 10 of Thomas.
With the two Lamborghinis side by side.
And it's contact with Horn.
Yeah, as Brendan Horn tries to force his way through in the Ferrari, and he gets around Chris Thorman in the number 60 machine. And Thorman coming down into the. Is that what was he coming into the pit lane? It looks like
he is
indeed. Chris Thorman making an early pit stop, might have gotten some damage to the car. Certainly far earlier than you would anticipate him coming in for a normal pit cycle. However.
Yes, they kind of came off of that turn 12 and a little bit sideways there, just enough for Horn to sneak up underneath. But I do wonder if he caught a little bit of damage enough where he needed to make repairs. Didn't look like a lot of contact, but perhaps he knows more than we do. It's unfortunate to have that happen this early in the race, as we got a good view here of Mike Dam, who's trying to keep up with Peichel, but Peichel, just the last couple laps now, has extended it by a couple tenths, starting to get near draft breakage zone, which about that 1 second mark. Even in these GT3s, a little bit of draft helps, better than nothing. But all that's done for Dam now has brought him into the clutches of Resputo, who's had a pretty good start to this race, having jumped past Hartley and getting up to the 3rd spot. Now he's got his eyes on 2nd.
Yeah, and as you see there, Hartley and Travis Schwenke falling a little bit off the pace of Nick Resputo. Difference right now about 1.3 seconds. So those two drivers are firmly out of draft range of that black number 132 machine, as Resputo has his eyes on the 3rd Orion Racing machine. That's Mike Dam currently running in 2nd.
And just behind all of these cars there, in fact, you've got Hartley and Schwenke. Behind them, you got Jordan Segrini and then Dean Dibdahl. Dibdahl, the leader in the M class. You'll see him just poking around in the background. Back there he is. Those two black Porsches, the Segrinis, and then Dibdahl's. Dean right now opening up about a 2-second gap in the AM category, so he's just going to try and settle in. Hopefully he's got a more predictable setup than he's had in recent rounds here in this class, so maybe tonight this is a good setup for 75 minutes. We know the last couple of rounds we talked to him got a little bit, a little hairy, a little twitchy at the end of races, so see what it's like tonight.
Well, very twitchy, as the car was jumping from understeer to oversteer within the span of about 5 feet, and you know, he was literally limping the car across the line to finish up at Indianapolis a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we'll see if he's been able to calm that beast down a little bit. Having the additional weight on the car might might affect any settings that he might have made. We'll see how that plays out tonight as we're watching right now. The BMW of Alex Brown, and he's got David Payton, he's got Nate Thomas and Brendan Horn sitting right back behind him. Remember, the BMW did pick up a little bit of weight in the balance performance changes here just for this round, first time out, and looks like the Lamborghinis still may not have the straight line speed that the BMW has, but they seem to be holding up fairly well in the corners.
Yeah, it's a pretty good little battle here. I know some of those corners are pretty tough regardless, but when you've got that mid-engine car, sometimes trying to get the corner entry right is a bit of a challenge, a little bit easier on entry when you're driving that front engine BMW, but we'll see. Maybe that's what goes on here. It's just a matter of lending itself to mistakes, but if you can get the weight transferred right, on the way into the corner, that mid-engine is really nice to have come mid and corner exit. But already, look at this. We got the mixing of our leaders, and they are nose to tail. Peichel must have had an issue there trying to get around the leaders in there, the back of the pack in the TCRs, because that has brought Mike Dam right to the heels of Evan Peichel here on the 6th lap.
Yeah, and as Rasputo worked his way through that TCR traffic, he's now right in the fight as well. And you can see the two other Orion racers of Hartley and Schwenke. They are now side by side, coming down under braking, and looks like Schwenke now manages to move ahead of the number 3 machine, to move Travis Schwenke up into 4th. But yeah, that little bit of TCR traffic wreaking havoc on.
That was interesting with Schwenke going around Hartley. It almost kind of looked like the Alpine F1 team in team orders, and one driver letting the other around. I didn't say Red Bull because yeah,
don't say Red Bull.
But it did kind of look like a relatively easy pass for Schwenke to get around. Perhaps they're trying to figure out who's faster in front in this 2-car tandem with those teammates, and trying to decide if they can maybe close the gap to Rasputo. They are just outside of any kind of draft. They're not getting help there, but maybe they're thinking Schwenke's quicker, possibly even through traffic, as they're certainly going through more of that TCR traffic. You can see right here is Dam alongside the 82 of Horvath, our pre-race interview there in that Lead Paw Racing Hyundai. But now look at these guys just picking through corner by corner. You can't waste any time, as if you do, you're going to get passed as well. And boy, good job there for our leader, Peichel, to get on by without giving up any spots.
Yeah, as he gets by Brad Husty now, and next in line going to be Eric Violette here, but getting very, very hectic here in this portion of the track, Larry.
It absolutely is, and these are the longest straightaways on the track that they're making these passes on. It's still not easy. It's a good shot there of third place holder right now, Rasputo, trying to get himself around the second to last of those TCR cars and not lose any ground to Mike Dam. But you can see all of a sudden we went from having these 3 guys essentially nose to tail to a second between each of them, as they each had a little bit more trouble getting around some of that TCR traffic. And now you've got this tandem of the Orion cars, Schwenke ahead of Rob Hartley, and they're now making their way around that 89 at Violet.
The slowest part of the track, yeah.
Yeah.
as they came out of the hairpin over at turn 5. There, but yeah, just so tight, and a great little battle actually in TCR right behind us. I think we saw Jenkins and Horvath coming through the hairpin side by side, as Nick Horvath now sitting up in 4th position, having gotten around the 68 of Jenkins.
Jenkins isn't going anywhere. He's going to stay right on his 6th all the way around, while they let a couple of GT3 cars sneak through. But you can see right there, Horvath not wanting to let anybody through easily. Doesn't want to give up any of that place to Husty behind him, or excuse me, to Jenkins behind him.
And for as wide as this track is in so many places, Larry,
it's so narrow right there.
Yeah, exactly. This is the tightest section of the track right here, going through turns 9 through 12, and then bringing you back out onto the front straight. Just seemingly nowhere to go.
And you just saw what Brendan Horn did. He kind of used the TCRs as a bit of a pick to get around. I believe that was Thomas. Yeah, now they're going to have contact around 1, and Horn's going to go around.
Yeah, oh, yep, and there you go. As Brendan Horn goes around, he's going to try and get that car started back up, and he's in a real bad position, only able to come back on track perpendicular to the track surface just as drivers are coming out of the fastest corner on the course.
Yeah, he almost should have put it in reverse and taken off straight down the track exit, but he just lost a lot of room. He had just made a spectacular move and used the TCRs as that pick to make his way through the traffic, side by side through 1 there. I believe that was the 10 of Nate Thomas, and neither driver giving up any room, and it ends up Horn with the spin, and now he's on the recovery drive. But boy, it was a good little battle while it lasted.
Well, hopefully Sheriff Tupper back in the stewards room will be able to determine who had fault there. But real bad place for those two drivers to get together in that battle in the AM category. But for the moment, it looks like the other car has managed to continue on here. As once again, as things are starting to ease up a little bit for our GT3 leaders. They've got at least now the entire front straight, as you can see between them. Evan Peichel once again opening up an advantage, and Larry, it's a bigger advantage I think before they had that large fit of traffic, as it's now almost 1 3/4 seconds separating Dan from Peichel, and Peichel has also started to move away from Resputo. Tell you what, let's take a look. I think we've got the replay up of that incident between the two GT3 drivers.
And you can see right there as Thomas ducks to the inside, and he runs a little wide, but he had the room to do it. Unfortunately for Brennan, he didn't lift, and he needed to give a little bit of space, and he ends up the one getting taken out in that one. But I suspect it was actually Brennan's fault for the contact as well, which is by the stewards. If they look at it, very likely not going to rule any penalty necessary.
Yeah, I think that one. I think we could probably chalk that up to a racing incident. He had some additional room to the outside over there, if he needed to use it. All right, so we jump back now over, and we were watching as the two Orion teammates of Schwenke and Hartley a couple laps ago had swapped positions, and it looks as though, well, they're still keeping in fairly close proximity there, but I think they're making a little bit better pace now with Schwenke as the leader, rather than Hartley in the number 3 machine leading them through this last time by. Certainly the 16 though having a little bit better pace than the 3, but I think at this point still fastest lap between the two going to Hartley. You take a look at it, and currently they are pretty similar to.
That's gonna slow him down.
Yeah, that is certainly going to slow Travis Schwenke down as the 16 runs wide and into the wall, and he now finds himself in the pit lane where he is likely going to be for, well, quite some time.
And for Hartley, there goes that teammate that they were starting to make pace with. You were just talking about him, how they were starting to pick things up and maybe even close the gap with Resputo. That's not going to help Hartley, as he's now a full 2.5 seconds back from Resputo and out one teammate. So I think it's getting dicey, and I think we've even got let's check out the replay there of that going on board here with him. I see you can just see Travis here catching a little bit of entry, a little bit of exit, and gets out of that gravel trap. And loose is not good in that case. Hits that wall hard.
No, you can see multiple corrections there to get the car as we go back to live action now, as they both as he tried to get that car straightened up and just could not get the rear end to go where he wanted the front end to go. As we jump back now to Steve Daniel and Brennan Horn, both drivers having early issues.
They're both on a bit of a recovery drive now, and I suspect that Brennan would have more damage to the front, but that car looks resilient. It doesn't look like he's got anything wrong with it. In fact, he was even able to draft up almost alongside Steve Daniel there. He's going to hang back a little bit, but these two guys, and now you see Travis Brennan going to try and go to the right, but there's a bit of a TCR car over there, so no room there for Brennan. He looks racy tonight, but he's going to have to make a lot of passes to get back in the position he was in before all this.
He is a little heads-up driving there from our TCR leader, Mike Polachek. As Brennan Horn moving from left to right, trying to find a way not only around him but also around Steve Daniel, and that is currently the battle for 8th and AM, as you've mentioned, both drivers on a bit of a recovery drive right now.
This is the battle for 8th, at least in the class, but they are, as you can see, a good 26 seconds back from leader in class, Dean Dibdahl, who's actually opened up a little bit of a margin there now to the second spot, Alex Brown. Look at a good shot of Dean there in that black Porsche. You can see there for Dean, just a couple of tenths here and there. We're starting to really put some daylight between he and Mr. Brown. Good start here for the first 20 minutes or so for Dean in this race.
There you go, and you can see Brown coming out of the hairpin there, and quite a distance back, and next driver back behind him. He's got a little bit of coverage. That's David Payton in the pro category, right behind him, currently running 6th in class.
Just a lot of movement of these cars, and if you know, we've had a couple of onboards, you can kind of see it as well in the dynamics of the cars. The cars are just constantly loaded one way or another. There's very few long straight sections around here. Most of the braking zones tend to be relatively straight, but then you go into like this, a bit of an increasing radius, kind of hairpin, and just sort of flick it through this little transition. This is the one point where the braking is not straight on these cars, but you can see the cars are just constantly turning all the way around this complex. And even this, the 3rd shortest straight on the track, isn't very long. It's, you know, it's about 6-7 seconds, then boom, you're throwing it down through turn 1 and down the 2nd longest straight, which just basically sets you up for the longest. It's just,
the longest one, exactly.
It's just crazy. These 3 are all back to back, and the rest is super twisty. If you don't make a pass already here, you hope you can get it done here on the long straight down to the hairpin at 6. But even then, even this is, they don't make it easy on you, do they? Even here, it's got a bit of a kink in this straightaway. Just a lot of
exactly.
There's
always that there, and it's not just a kink. It's a very deep bend there off to the left before you then straighten things out even a little bit and head down to the hairpin.
Yeah, tough track on a set of tires, I'll tell you that. That'll be interesting when we get to the pit stops. Probably more likely in the TCRs than in the GT3s, but whether or not anybody takes any tires, if they choose not to, boy, that could be interesting. 75 minutes on the single set of tires on a track like this, where the tires don't have a lot of time to rest, could be interesting. Who can take care of their tires, and who will be struggling for grip?
All right, we're watching right now as we're on board with Brennan Horn, coming still in that battle with Steve Daniel. They're coming up right now on John Casey, just ahead. Casey running 7th in class, and he's picked up, I think, 4 positions overall due to some of the attrition and some of the issues.
Oh, no, that's Dean Dibdahl.
That's our leader in AM, Dean Dibdahl. As he goes around, Nate Thomas goes by in the Lamborghini, and Alex Brown, of course, in the BMW, who had been running 2nd. He gets ahead as well. So that's going to drop the 19 machine down into 3rd position. Hopefully we'll have a replay on that.
That looked like it was at turn 11, that very fast right-hander, and it looked like he may have run a little wide, but yeah, we'll let the guys see if they can cue one up there. That's unfortunate for Dean, having gone from leading this race by about 3 or 4 seconds to all of a sudden 8 seconds back from Mr. Brown, now in the lead. So new leader now at GT3 AM, that's Alex Brown.
And how you know that Alex Brown is your new leader? He's flashing the headlights at the TCR cars. All right, I think we've got that replay queued up. Let's take a quick look.
On board, yep, there it is. That turn 11 makes that turn in and just uses all the curb at the apex and maybe a little bit too much. Doesn't make contact with anything, but lost all the track time.
Yeah, took a while there out in the grass to get back up underway, and as we mentioned, drops him from 1st down to a. He doesn't have that much of a gap back to Thomas. He's got about 3 seconds or so, a little bit less than 3 seconds that he's got to make up. But it is a long way up to Alex Brown in that number 43 BMW.
Got a good little scrap going on here in the GT3 AM ranks with Ruddick, Daniel, Casey, and Horan currently running 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. These guys nose to tail now between their couple of Ferraris, the Lamborghini here in this mix. We know that Steve Daniel and Brennan Horn are on recovery drives. That doesn't make it any easier when you come up to these guys that have gotten pretty quick here with Ruddick and Casey.
Yeah, looks like Casey moving over drivers right to concede the position to Brennan Horn. So move Horn now up into 8th in AM, drop Casey down to 9th.
And we'll see if Brennan now has anything to stay on the back of Steve Daniel, as they're both going to have to find their way around Russ Ruddick. And we know that the reason Brennan's back here is because he had been using some lap traffic in his battle earlier. I believe it was with Nate Thomas. Yeah, so for Brennan, he's got to be a little more careful this time if he's going to be going around lap traffic. And a good run here is Daniel now making the move on Ruddick. Horan going to try and take one, if not both.
And gets one under braking, gets around Steve Daniel. And there you go, Horn jumping down to the inside, late turn in as they make the run, down through the Parabolica and head over towards the hairpin. And doesn't look like Ruddock's given things up yet. He's down to the inside and very far to the inside. This could be a little painful coming to the hairpin. And there you go, Horn just far enough ahead. He gets around the Lamborghini, and now Daniel trying to find a way around the number 60 machine as well.
Ruddock's exit there, the hairpin was compromised, and unfortunately for Steve Daniel, he kind of got stuck behind him.
Yeah,
and now he thinks he's faster than Ruddock, but he's got to do a better job of getting around him at some of those slow points, because right now Brennan Horn's going to start to put a little bit of daylight between himself and Steve Daniel. And you can even see there with that TCR car in the mix, things are never easy around here.
Yeah, and it looks like the Hyundai's moved all the way over driver's right to let those gentlemen through.
See if Daniel's able to do anything here. You get into this infield section, it is so difficult to find any room because it is narrow and it's constantly twisty. Even there, they've got this double back kink going on, makes it impossible to try and line somebody up for the next braking zone.
Yeah, and the distance between them, between those corners, is so incredibly short.
Yeah.
You know, by the time you get the car, out of the one corner, you're heading into the next, and there's really no space to adjust your line to try and dive underneath somebody, let alone get up to their door. If you're following through a corner, that you pretty much have to wait until you come out of this section here and start to make your way up onto the front straight.
Yeah, and you mentioned it in the opening. I do kind of consider this track a bit of a go-kart track, and it's 2.8 miles long, of which about 1.5 miles of that I think is this one long straightaway. The rest of it is so tight and twisty that you've really got to be cautious on every single lap. You got to be alert. You got to be awake. You only get that one long straightaway to really rest your car and rest your hands. Makes it so difficult, but the passing, as we've been talking about all night, is just at a premium around here.
All right, and I think it's about time we jump back to TCR and our TCR leader. That's Mike Polachek, and he has now for this somewhat Larry is reminding me of course, not Indianapolis where we didn't have Polachek here, but I believe it was actually at Fuji where Polachek just absolutely walked away from the rest of the TCR field, and Eric Violet right now over 8 seconds in arrears, and so early on in the race here. A bit of a surprise is our overall leader, Evan Peichel, coming down into the hairpin right underneath the Honda and gets on by. And Mike Dam looks like he's made up a little more ground, Larry, under traffic here.
At least hasn't lost any. He's been hovering around that 1.6 mark for a while. Is Polachek again going to let another one through without too much interference? It's a good thing for Mike Dam. But what Mike needs a lot more of is Peichel struggling through traffic. I don't know that he's going to get much of that. I think the ebbs and flows are going to be one making an advantage on one lap traffic, and the other might get the alternating advantage. At some point, Mike Dam's got to just start outpacing Peichel in this race.
Well, we just saw Mike Dam run really wide coming out of that corner there. He's going to lose a little bit of ground there to our leaders. We go back to this battle between Ruddock and Steve Daniel, as Brennan Horn, as we watched on the last lap, really managed to clear himself out from these two. Ruddock still trying to find a way around the 95.
But in the background, that looked like Casey with a spin at the hairpin. He was right behind these guys for quite a while, but I don't think that's going to last. There he is now on the recovery.
Yeah, like just getting them back underway.
Yep. One of those, trail braking type of spins, mid-engine cars. Unfortunately for him, that's some time lost. As Daniel now finally maybe with a run on Ruddock coming up to turn 11. He does make the pass.
As they come into the final corners here, so that'll move Daniel now up into 7th position in AM, 13th overall.
And you remember, he was just nose to tail with Brennan Horn. Horn now 3 seconds ahead of this. That's how much time Steve Daniel lost trying to get around Russ Ruddock. And there you can see Brennan with a little bit of the damage on his right front from his contact earlier. But that's
he almost
a
did it
lot
again.
of risk with that reward there in turn 1.
Yeah. Wow. If it weren't for the paint job, I think it was Bobby Child. But actually, I guess he's probably running the same paint job.
They would, yes. This is a very Bobby America Ferrari running around here. Not Amerigo Ferrari. It's a totally different person. This is America Ferrari here in the T2D Racing boys is Brennan flying those colors, but now he's got to watch his mirrors to see how long it takes Steve Daniel to keep up with them. But these guys still, they're 20-some seconds back of your leader in class, Alex Brown. Michael continuing to go fast. He had 36.0 popping up there.
Yeah,
so
he's
quick.
burning off fuel, starting to run fast laps here, faster laps, as you mentioned, just set the fastest lap of the race. Now we anticipate, Larry, that given the fuel loads on these cars, that the GT3 cars could probably their pit window is going to open right around lap 18. So we're actually getting pretty close to the start of that window, just about now, and probably be able to make it a max of about 28 laps. The TCR cars as they go out, their window opens, well, right about the same time, lap number 16.
Speaking of windows open.
There you go. And Andrew Packer in the 167 BMW. He is the first of our GT3 cars to head to the pit lane.
So right on cue, as you say, pit windows open. A lot of guys like this strategy for the ease of it, where you just pull in, you let it pull the fuel all the way to the top, and off you go. You don't have to think about shutting your fuel off with anything like that, trying to calculate. You just come in, top it off, get out of there, and never have to worry about it. So for Andrew, we'll see how long his stop is and where he returns in this AM field.
All right, we're watching right now Alex Brown, also in a BMW, currently your AM category leader, took that position over when Dean Dibdahl is looks like Dean's father, Rich in the chat is calling him Dean Tire Destroyer Dibdahl.
Yep. No one's a better critic than Dad. So interestingly here is I would suggest that maybe this 43 of Alex Brown may be struggling in traffic a little bit because he just gave up the spot there to Nate Thomas.
Nate Thomas, yeah.
They're
Thomas,
right
your
in
new
this
leader
mix.
AM.
Yeah, Thomas able to navigate the traffic a little bit too conservative for Alex Brown.
Yeah,
now Thomas in the lead.
Yeah, as they were trying to make their way through that and around one TCR car. And as they all got bottled up, Dean Dibdahl, who had been almost 7 seconds off the lead, well, Dibdahl now is right on the back of Alex Brown. We've pretty much got a 3-car battle here now for the lead as Brown's trying to return the favor.
Yeah, Brown struggled there just at the hairpin coming off of it. And all that's done now is giving him a bad exit. It gave Alex Brown a bad exit. Dean Dibdahl saying, okay, guys, game on. 1, 2, 3, and AM now are nose to tail entering the infield. And Dibdahl's been outpacing these guys by about a half a second a lap lately, so he has the pace. The question is, does he have the patience to make the pass safely, or does he maybe even try some sort of alternate pit stop? Now wouldn't be a bad time to execute that, knowing the window's open. Maybe come in, take on the fuel, get back out, have some clean air, and perhaps pass him with a bit of an undercut. We'll see if any of these guys decide to make that move, considering they're all in this train.
All right, as they go down into that Mobile 1 curve and running really wide, both Nate Thomas and Dean Dibdahl. Dibdahl seems to gather it up maybe a little bit quicker than the Lamborghini driver, but both of them lose quite a bit of ground there to Alex Brown.
Yeah, that doesn't help them all. Again, this is where if I'm Dibdahl, I'm starting to think maybe I should be coming on in and take that fuel on and get away from this battle to not get caught up in anything. Or maybe he's thinking this is his best chance, but a lot of mistakes he's seen already this past lap for Nate Thomas. He had the mistake there at the hairpin they're about to come up to, and then, of course, the mistake there at the Mobile 1 turn. We'll see if Dean gets a good run and maybe can make a pass going into the hairpin. Good shot there, the three of them. Doesn't appear to be destroying any tires right now, is Dean.
At this section of the track, I'd hope not.
Trying to get that late apex and see what he can do to get a run. That's the 25 of Marlon Joan there in the TCR car, trying to stay out of the way. Thanks, Marlon. currently running, I believe, sixth.
Yeah, sixth
in
in
TCR?
sixth in TCR, correct.
A little more conservative this time
Certainly
for
from
Nate Thomas
Dibdall.
around
Yeah.
that turn 11.
As they now switch back to the right and bring them onto the front straight.
And now they're starting to lay down some pretty quick times, all of them running in that now mid-37s. Clearly the quickest cars. Just got to also keep an eye on Brennan Horn, who's pretty far down now, 20 seconds back, running comparable times, but he's just got that big chunk of daylight, as Dibdall now looks like he may have a bit of a better run down the short straight leading to the first turn, or the second turn. Let's see if he's going to run now.
Yeah, he did, and I think he ended up giving up most of the speed there as he went side by side with the Lamborghini going through turns 2 and 3.
I don't think the Porsche has the legs the Lamborghini does.
No.
As it seems like, I think he got a better run through turn 1 on that lap than Thomas did. But once they made it to the turn 2, I think the Lamborghini was able to open up its legs and pull on the Porsche. The Porsche now needs to get around. I think once Dibdall's able to make a move and get by, he might be the quicker of these two by quite a bit. But, you know, catching someone and passing someone are two different things, as they say, and Dean's finding that out the hard way right now.
Yeah, and you know, Larry, I'm wondering, you know, we were kind of joking earlier about, and maybe his father was joking about Dean and the tire situation at Indianapolis, but he is really taking some very, very late entries in some of these corners and squaring some things off, and I think a lot of that might be in order to save the tires and keep the car underneath him at the end of the race. But he's giving up a lot of momentum and a lot of speed in a lot of these corners. I don't want to say amazed that he's keeping up with the number 10 machine, but he seems to make it up a lot of it in braking. And then for some of these sweepers, he's just losing a lot of ground in the corners.
Yeah, the car looks a lot faster in the faster corners. So turn 1, definitely the one that's the most obvious. But then even like turn 7, turn 11, he looks quicker than Thomas. But you get to the slow stuff, you're right. He is definitely squaring things off. He's braking in a straighter line, deeper in that straighter line. He's not loading up the front tires. But this may be an opportunity to get a draft. But you can see just not enough to really pull up alongside of Nate. He just has to wait. But look at that. Look how much he squares off this
and he did that the previous lap as well. I mean, he's running maybe a good 20 feet deeper into the corner before he turns in.
He's trying to get a longer run, trying to get a late apex and get on the gas earlier into the corner. I think the problem is, I don't know if the Porsche is, I don't know if it's a gearing thing, but he doesn't seem to be able to pull up alongside the Lamborghini as they come off of the hairpin. He just has to settle to stay behind him. There are definitely some places where the Porsche is quicker. It's just not in the places he needs it to be.
Right. See, look, it looks great right here. It looks great. It looks great at the Mobile 1 curve over at turn 11. Those high speed sweepers. It's just it looks like all the slow stuff he's throwing away a lot of speed. Hey Larry, let's do this because you know we've only had now I think 3 cars. We've had Packer come in. We've had Russ Ruddick come in. Actually, I guess Ruddick was in early on, and I think we had just had John Casey complete his pit stop. Most of the field has not pitted in yet. Let's quickly go to a commercial break. We'll come back and hopefully pick up most of these pit stops here. You are watching round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
All right, and we're back here, and we're back right at the right time as our 3 AM category drivers all get together right at that turn. You are watching the round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics here at the Hockenhiem ring. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And talk about timing, Larry.
Yes, Greg, we were just saying during the break, guys, they were all close to nose to tail, all 3 of them. Don't do anything while we're on break. Wait till we come back and let you fill in the words.
I think I said don't do anything stupid.
I was trying not to point that way, but you did it anyway.
Yeah,
but yes, as they went to the hairpin, the 2 went side by side, Thomas and Brown. They both make contact. Thomas gets ahead, as you just saw. Dibdall then went side by side, and now Dibdall was able to make it work as Thomas had an issue there going into, it looked like turn 8. Now it's back to the way we were about 18 laps ago, which was Dibdall in the lead in class over Alex Brown and Nate Thomas, now 6 seconds back in third.
Yeah, and you saw there is Thomas after that little coming together, pulled
Thomas
off driver's right, and here he is in the pit lane. I think Nate Thomas has some damage in that Lamborghini as he came to almost a complete stop after the incident there. He's now in his pit box. He is the first of our AM category drivers. Well, not the first of our AM category drivers, but one of the first at the front of the field to pit in. You can see there also now in the pit lane, Scott Brooks pitting in his TCR Hyundai, the number 49 machine, up on the air jacks, getting some tires. Brooks currently in 5th position. All right, and I think we've got something queued up here. Let's take a look and see this as we came back from the break, exactly what happened as we had the BMW, had the Lamborghini, and Dibdall trailing in the Porsches. They all went into the hairpin together.
They did, and 3 into 1 doesn't always work out. In that case, it worked out well for Dean, but not so much there for Brown or for Nate Thomas, who is 50 seconds in, still in his pit box, as you said, probably doing a little bit of repairs on that car, unfortunately. And
yeah, and you saw there as he ran, just did not get the car turned in over at turn 7 over at Mercedes, and he took to the pits almost immediately afterwards.
So just to let everybody know, is the stewards are in fact looking at that incident, all the incidents there between Brown, Thomas, and Dibdall. We'll see if they decide anything. Apparently, there's also a review underway between Jordan Segrini and Brad Husty. Husty is now in the pits, just pulled in there. Hadn't been, as now looks like that was that Hartley now coming together with Ricciputo. All kinds of action going on right now.
Yeah, as we watch it now, is Ricciputo sitting up in 3rd, Hartley in 4th, and now we have down on the pit lane here a number of drivers. Looks like Dean Dibdall, was in the lead in the M category. He pits in from the lead, and we'll see when he comes back out. Looks like we still have the 16 machine of Travis Schwenke there.
Yeah.
I think he's just
Putting
perpetually
on
up on the jack stands. Yeah.
Yeah. But I also noticed that still, unfortunately, is Nate Thomas still now 2 minutes in, taking on repairs there. And it looks like he has been assessed responsibility for the incident, as we've got him on camera there, with Mr. Brown. And that'll be a 5-second post-race penalty, which at this point may not matter, as he is still in the pits.
Still in the pits, still getting repairs. Yeah, looks like Nate's day may not be done, but certainly going to take him out of contention for the lead. And speaking of the lead, we jump back to our leader, Evan Peichel, who is, as the fuel is starting to run down on these cars, just now turns the fastest lap of the race, a 135.83. Takes it back from Mike Dam, who just a couple laps ago had pipped Evan by, I think, 1/100th of a second. And Dam, you know, he's
they're both in the 135s now, and Dam was 2.2, 2.3 seconds back when we were looking in about 5 laps ago. You can see that now it's under 2.1. It's getting a little bit closer. I don't know that this was any kind of traffic. I think Mike Dam finally getting into a bit of a groove here at the Hockenhiem ring. and maybe just closing the gap on sheer will at this point. So as they get close to the pit stops, this is going to matter. How clean can you get in? How clean can you get out? How well can you time your fuel shutoff is definitely going to decide who comes out of the lead there between Michael and Dam. It's going to be that close.
Yeah, as they make their way through the stadium section here. And now on the pit lane, we've got Steve Daniel in the number 96 machine, the SKKJ Racing Ferrari, and just ahead of him, you can see that Lamborghini of Nate Thomas, the number 10 machine, just ahead.
Yeah, who looks like his race may be done. There goes Steve Daniels. We've got a contact now.
More contact interclass. Yeah, that's Jenkins, and I believe
guessing Robert Brist
in the I think that's Brist in the Mercedes.
As I just heard him over the chat apologizing, so I kind of suspected he may have been involved in that incident. That is Rob Hartley also now
on the pit lane. Yep.
And Jordan Segrini.
Yeah, Segrini, and again in the pro category tonight, he's got the green end plates on the machine there.
And our TCR leader.
Yeah, in the
Mike
Porsche.
Polacek.
Yeah, Mike Polacek now into the pits in the Honda Civic Type R, and that's going to move for the moment Eric Violet up into the lead in TCR. Violet, of course, not having taken a pit stop yet, but it looks like now, Larry, almost all of our drivers starting to come in, and we are, at least actually for both classes, starting to come to the end of that pit window. Again, in GT3, we thought the drivers could probably get around 28 laps, give or take, and we've got Peichel, Dam, Resputo completing their 28th laps right now.
And something is up with Mike Dam as he is suddenly dropping back on this lap as he's pulling. They're all coming into the pits, it looks like, Peichel and Dam, but that lead had gone from 2 to 3 seconds as they were pulling in. So I'm wondering if there was an issue here for Dam. I'm hoping maybe he wasn't out of fuel here on his lap.
I was just going to say, maybe he was, since we knew it was right at the end of the window there, he might have run out of fuel on that last lap and just made it down the pit lane, as Nick Resputo is coming down as well for his pit stop. And we'll take a look here as Evan Peichel is at the front of that line there.
We'll see how good a pit stop this is for Peichel and for Dam. Make the crews earn their keep at this one, and he is able to pull away first is Peichel. And it's going to be a pretty substantial gap because Mike Dam is just now moving.
Yeah, and if we take a look there, the difference on the pit lane, about a half a second between the two cars there. So
but the in-lap being so much better for Peichel over Dam as that lead went from 2 seconds to over 4 seconds just on the in-lap alone. So great job for Peichel in putting the pace down right up to the point of turning into the pits, extending that lead by a bunch over Mike Dam as the rest of the TCR class now in. That's the 89 Eric Violet, who had led that one lap. Now he's going to probably concede that lead over to Mr. Polacek.
All right, also coming down the pit lane there is Brennan Horan, who now pits in from the lead in GT3 AM.
Picks up his lead a lap point.
All right, Eric Violet completes his service. He's back underway, but as you anticipate, Mike Polacek has already retaken the lead in TCR, quite a ways clear of the pit exit, and has quite a bit of open track there ahead of him as well.
He does, and that's a good thing right now at this stage of the race. You just want to get back in that groove after your pit stops, lay down a couple of flyers, figure out where the gaps really are, and then start taking it in. And for Mike Polacek, he's got a 10-second lead on Eric Violet. That's a pretty comfortable lead. He can pick and choose how he lets the GT3 cars on by. That's the position you'd like to be in. And he's really been dominant. When he comes to the races, he has been dominant, has been Mike Polacek.
All right, and there we go. We're on board now with Mike Dam, who he's got, as you mentioned, almost now 5 seconds, lost 3 seconds on that DIN lap to our leader, Evan Peichel, and he's got a long way to go. You can see Peichel there off in the distance, and Mike Dam, again, long way to go as they head down into the stadium section. here. And Nick Risputo about another 5 seconds in arrears of Mike Dam. So things have really, really stretched out and opened up here at the front of the field.
We do have this battle, though. Steve Daniel, Jose Cabrera, currently third and fourth in the AM category in their Ferraris, nose to tail as they come through the Mobile One bend.
And Cabrera has already taken his pit stop. So sitting up in third position, we'll see. And Brennan Horn, as he rejoins in fifth position. So Cabrera, great start for him. Although is Cabrera heading into the pits? Cabrera is in the pits.
I wonder if he didn't fill enough fuel.
That could very well be.
His pit stop was 22 seconds, which is a little bit shorter than some of the others by a couple seconds, but I'm wondering if that was the issue. He didn't take on quite enough, or perhaps had a pit lane speeding penalty or something like that, but he's stopped. He's not just serving a drive-through. That was about a 5-second stop, so at this point, he should be good to the end of the race, which means he concedes that spot to Steve Daniel, who now has worked after that initial issues in the race, has worked his way back up to third in GT3 AM. Great run here for Steve Daniel after that early spin.
Yeah, so Cabrera concedes not only Steve Daniel, but Brennan Horn and Andrew Packer as well, and I think that puts him more where if he had, certainly lost time with 2 runs down the pit lane, but I think put him more where he would have been if he had filled the filled the car.
Well, we've got a couple of good battles though going on here, and this being one of them. This is the battle for third in the overall and GT3 Pro. Nick Risputo, Rob Hartley, currently 7/10 apart, and also worth noting is Steve Daniel has a Brennan Horan just a second and a half behind him. So we'll kind of keep our eye on that battle, see if that tightens up as the last 25 minutes or so stretches through here. But Risputo working his way through some traffic. Better not take too long to get on by Robert Brist, because he's got Rob Hartley just on his tail.
And Brist moves over driver's right to let him by. But may have some TCR. Might have some TCR traffic to worry about. At least one of them. And Hartley's definitely going to have to worry there about the 82 of Nick Horvath.
Hartley able to get by about as clean as you could hope for. Probably lost a couple of tenths there to Risputo, but as in the background, Segrini currently running fifth. He would like to get up into this battle. He's a couple seconds back, about 3. But maybe with some of this traffic hitting Risputo or Hartley, maybe Segrini can make a game out of it.
Well, now, unfortunately for Segrini, he's going to end up caught back behind the 82 machine as well, and coming through some of the final corners there, that very tight 10-11 area of the Sachs curve there, and just cannot get by. Finally gets by on the last sweepers there over turns 12 and 13, leading onto the front straight. But that's also given Hartley that same section of track as they work their way through those TCR cars, has allowed Hartley to close things down even tighter to Risputo, only now about 0.6 of a second separating them.
Remember the start of this race, Hartley actually qualified third, Risputo fourth. Risputo was able to get on by going into turn 2 and able to hold on. In fact, so much so that if you remember, Hartley let Schwenke by to try and work together as a team in the other order because they were losing ground to Risputo. How things have changed since 50 minutes now into this race. Risputo now is under attack from Hartley. Hartley must have found that groove somewhere in this race, because he's going to be pressuring and trying to get up to that third and final podium spot.
Yeah, that last time by last lap, and you can see the rear end kind of moving around on the 132 through that section of the track, but Hartley last time by was about 0.2 faster than Risputo, and he is certainly closing things down, having a little bit better luck with the limited amount of traffic these last 2 laps that they've had to contend with.
Yeah, things are starting to spread out. A couple of drivers have DNF for this race, take some traffic out of the way, and things are just generally spreading out around the track, so you don't run into bunches, you run into one at a time. A lot easier to pick through traffic when it's 1 car instead of 3 or 4 like it was earlier on, and so things are settling when that happens. But really interesting how Hartley, I don't know if he just didn't get the practice this week and maybe struggled here figuring out the car, the setup. So the first couple laps he struggled. All of a sudden he seems to have turned this on. Post pit stops, he's been one of the quicker cars out there.
Sorry, I'm just sitting and listening to the Mercedes.
It's a glorious engine sound.
It is.
I love it.
It is.
Oh, thank you. Onboard.
And Hartley's making up a lot of ground under braking as well. You can see there as they came into the hairpin.
Yeah, I wonder if he's a little bit more comfortable braking a little bit later. Maybe also he can time his braking on Ricmotech, where Ricmotech's got to pick his own braking spot. Hartley, though, looks a little bit squirrely, though, when he gets on the power, coming off of those tighter corners like Mercedes. All the curves you got to use while carrying all that speed here through the stadium section. So difficult around this place. If they're going to find themselves coming up to a lap traffic, one of our Hyundais.
But they're going to get him probably at the best time possible. Well, we'll see if they can get up to him going down into turn one. They may not be, and you can see there is Ricmotech. Whoa, the big wiggle going
opportunity
into the
now. Opportunity for Hartley.
We'll
Can he make this work?
To this very long straightaway going through Parabolica as they come out of turn 2 and 3, and you saw there is Ricmotech had to deal with Eric Violet coming into turn number 1 as he kind of did a little double take whether or not he was going to have the opportunity for the pass. And there you go, going through the Parabolica. It's Robert Hartley now side by side with the 132 machine as they're now going to come under braking going down into the hairpin.
Yeah, a good job there for both of them, staying clean, but they're going to continue this side-by-side drag race now through the kink up into Mercedes. I do see a bit of an advantage right now for Hartley as he's going to be able to get all the way in front of Ricmotech. Great job for Hartley. Use the pick of the TCR on the second straightaway, forcing a bad line through turn 2 for Ricmotech, and finally, 3 corners later, able to make the pass. Yeah. Boy, that's a lot of work, but great effort and great execution from Rob Hartley. Now we'll see if Ricmotech's got anything to fight back with. Maybe he'll learn a few things, figure out where Hartley was quicker. Hartley was struggling coming off of corners, putting power down, but as you said, maybe he looked a little bit cleaner under braking in particular. Yeah. Maybe Ricmotech can learn a little bit about, braking control, maybe about where he's braking, where his marks are, and try to make this pass with about 20 minutes left in this race. Unfortunately for Segrini, the pass of Hartley on Ricmotech was so good they didn't actually slow down that much.
No, they didn't. You can see there where the black Porsche of Segrini just was not able to make any real ground up on those two.
Yeah, he made up in a second or so, but the move happened basically within half of a lap, so it wasn't consecutive laps. These guys slowed each other down. It wasn't a couple of failed tries. It was pretty much one attempt. It took a couple of corners, but for Segrini, he would love to have a little bit more of that, not to be in this case. And here now you see Hartley able to get around the TCR car before the corner, very important, leaving Ricmotech behind the TCR car. Yeah. And a good job again leaving Polisek. Polisek doing everything he can to stay out of the way as he's got no dog in that fight.
No. The last thing Polisek wants to do is to get mixed up in that GT3 traffic, as he currently has, let's take a look, almost a 15-second advantage over Eric Violet, currently running in second in TCR.
And our viewers, all dozens of them, may have known the last time we ran a World Challenge race here at this track. The finish was fascinating with the multi-class racing, as the faster class was having troubles getting around the slower class. As I say it, there is Segrini struggling right now to get around Polisek, our TCR leader.
Little contact there between the Honda Civic Type R, and there you go, Segrini coming into the final corner, puts the machine around, and question is, will David Payton be able to make up 34 seconds in this time? No. So Segrini is going to hold on to 5th position, but any designs he had on battling for the last step on the podium there with Hartley and Ricmotech for the time being.
And Segrini, Jordan just lost that all on his own. Polisek is doing everything he can to be predictable, to stay on his line. think Segrini should have been a little bit more patient, if you ask me.
Yes.
But, you know, that's one of the things that'll come with time. He'll figure those things out. Still relatively new here to our league. And, you know, I suspect the next time he'll probably maybe wait 2 more corners and then get around that TCR car.
All right, tell you what, Larry, I think we've got the replay here. Let's take a quick look at Mr. Segrini and Mr. Polachek here on the center of your screen.
This will be fun to be on board with Segrini as he's coming around turn 11, trying anything he can. But again, not showing the patience here. Tries to make the move on the outside.
And again,
Polachek might have been able to leave him a little more room, but again,
Yeah,
he's just
maybe.
trying to do his own thing.
Yep.
And but it was over at that point. And now the problem is that Segrini might have cooked the rear tires trying to make that pass on the first attempt, and the tires didn't want to stay under him for that the next corner. That's now going to cost him. But hey, guess what? We're going to see a little more of that in a minute as Segrini has made his way back up to our TCR leader. Probably to a cleaner place to make a pass.
We'll see. As they're sitting in the stadium section right now here, Larry, I don't know. There we go. Coming onto the front straight, yeah. As they come onto the front straight. All right, Segrini now gets around Polachek. But in the interim, lost almost 15 seconds to Resputo and Hartley.
Yep, and that's so it's going to lose sight of that third place battle, but which now means these two are fighting the only 2 spots available here and only 2 drivers available for that third spot. Hartley, you know, was able to make that pass. Resputo may have learned a few things. He hasn't gone anywhere. Now it's just about 6-7 tenths here separating them. So Resputo maybe will make a counter action here at some point. Probably would love to use some of that slower traffic. So a lot like Hartley was able to use on Resputo, but he's going to have to wait for some of that. They're pretty clean right now through the stadium section. Or wherever we are, entering the stadium. As it looks like overall leader and pro class leader Evan Peichel was able to put, I believe it was Brennan Horn, a lap down. So now the overall 10th place car is a lap down. So just 9 cars on the lead lap. Pretty impressive for Peichel now with about a 9-second edge on Mike Dam for the second spot. Dam with 12 seconds on his teammate Hartley. So Dam doing to everybody else what Peichel's doing to him. But unfortunately, Peichel is pesky the last 5 weeks.
Yes, slightly.
He's been fast.
Yeah. Yeah, they might have to revisit those balance and performance settings.
Throw another 20 kilograms on the Porsche to see what happens if it allows it. But I tell you, this is just driving. Sheer driving is. Yeah. You know, a lot of drivers are driving the Porsche and they're not doing what Evan's doing in it.
No. I was just going to say if they had more weight, don't talk to Dean Dibdall about that. It looks as though Dibdall now, about 2.7 seconds off the lead in AM, and I believe a few moments ago Andrew Packer had some issues with his BMW, and it looks like those problems continue on as he's now in the course of about 2 laps, lost 3 positions.
Well, this will be interesting for Dean now with 15 minutes left. He's going to have to work a little bit, but I think it's feasible to have a shot to catch Alex, at least be able to make an attempt. Whether or not Alex will make it easy on him or not, we know that earlier any pass attempts in this class didn't go easy or well.
No.
But Dean's got to catch him and then see if he's able to make a move with just 12 minutes left.
Made an easy move there on Eric Violet, who really just opened the door up for him, and it was a good portion of the track there as well for Dean Dibdall to get around the number 89 machine. And he's still got, and he's just made up a little bit of ground there as well. So the lead went from 2.7 down to 1.8. He's knocked off almost a full second just in the first half of this lap.
I suspect Alex Brown may have had a little bit more, I would say difficulty, but it took him a little longer to get around the TCR Violet. But you can see now Dean should be quicker in this section of the track. From what I've seen of the Porsche tonight, they seem very good through a lot of these types of corners Whereas that BMW, I think once he gets to the straights, is going to pull a little bit, which will help him fend off any challenges through the faster parts of the track. As we had seen Dean struggle earlier trying to get around Nate Thomas in the more powerful Lamborghini, he may run into the same problem with this BMW, but just 1.7 seconds back, he was able to take another 9/10 out on this lap. But again, I think some of that was the lap traffic, but I see more lap traffic
There's more
ahead.
coming up, Larry, yeah.
Yep, another lap. I think they'll be in the middle of it. You can see down there on the graphic, thank you, boys. You can see that he's been gaining on just about every lap. This is going to be tightening up with probably, we'll call it about, I don't know, about 6 laps to go.
Yeah, about 6 laps. Just a little bit less than 15 minutes remaining here at the Hockenhiem ring.
Maybe 8 or 9 laps, but my math isn't so good. But you can see, look at the block of TCRs in front of these guys. And for Alex, all he's doing is hoping he can get by all of them quickly without giving up any more space to Dean. Dean right now, there's nobody between he and his rival. All he has to do is stick his nose up in there somewhere, and maybe he can make his way on through. Look at, he got four of those TCRs in front of him to get by. That's just in the tightest part of the track is not what Alex wanted to see.
No, not at all. As they're going to come up on the Mobile 1 curve here, right on the back of the 49 machine of Scott Brooks.
One down, a couple to go.
Yeah, a couple more to go. And we'll see where Dean picks him up. Dean's might be actually in a little bit better position here, as he's going to get Brooks, I think, coming out onto the front straight.
He is, and then he'll have the TCR leader Polisek, hopefully by the time they get down to turn 2 for his sake. But we'll see, as the gap hasn't changed. It did take Dean a little bit of time to get around the first of those cars. But here you go now, Polisek going to let Alex Brown on by. No issues there. And then you've got the 68 of Tom Jenkins.
And I think
one of our BMWs.
Oh yeah, the BMWs. I think that's Packer just ahead.
Dibdahl has now cut some time down. Under 1.2 seconds, or right at 1.2 seconds for Dean behind Alex Brown. So now it's going to have to navigate around Mr. Packer and that other BMW. Dean is definitely giving up time on the straightaways, and I think even in the break-in zone there at the hairpin at 6.
Yes, quite a bit.
He had it down to about 1.1. Now it's back up to 1.7. I think he's still giving up time there. I don't know if it's the way that, again, that car drives, if it's a mandatory slow in, fast out, but would love to do a little better job under those corners to close this up. But running out of time to do it.
You know, and I was going to say, it looks like Brown has adjusted his corner entries quite a bit as well, and it may be the same thing, that he's also looking to conserve tires to get to the end of the race area, but he's also starting to turn in much later.
He's turning it later, and he's avoiding a lot of the curbs. He's trying not to hit the sausage. Still use some of the blue bits, but he's not using a lot of curb, especially on the exits. The exit of the last corner on the course before the start-finish straight, and again, even at turn 1, where everyone's clobbering curves, he used a little bit of the apex and then used just a little bit of the exit, but not the full car width crossing. So being very conservative, and that might have hurt him there, as Dibdahl now is under 1 second, and a late turn in for Brown. That's going to leave Dibdahl right up under his rear wing.
Yeah, and we saw Robert Briss there pull all the way over driver's right to let them both through. And for as late as Dibdahl's been turning in there, for a moment I thought that perhaps Brown had forgotten that there was actually a corner in front of him there, and finally got the car rotated around, but lost a lot of speed on exit. And Dibdahl now under a second back, only 3/4 of a second here.
I'm starting to wonder if maybe Alex Brown's front tires are going in that front engine car and making it difficult to turn in. He's getting a lot of what looks like a bit of understeer through some of now these corners are typically oversteery anyway, but if it looks neutral, that could be a sign of general understeer. Watch how he drives these corners. Does the car wash out? Is there anything that looks like the back end sliding? It really doesn't. He looks like he's almost has to point and shoot the car, leaving Dibdall able to carry more speed.
And that was the first time, Larry, in 3 laps I've seen him take a what I would consider to be a normal line through that final corner onto the front straight. The previous lap, he had turned in so late, he actually exited the corner at the very end of the curbing as the curbing was disappearing. But well, maybe he's got the tires back underneath him for at least another couple laps.
Maybe a little bit. Dibdall looked a lot quicker through turn 1, which is that kink there separating those 2 straightaways. He was able to close up a little bit, and it looks like he even got a better run out of 2 to get all the way down here to the hairpin. But this right here is where both of them have struggled at times. Dibdall braking later.
And that's been his normal line all night long, but you can see there, and you know, Larry, I think part of that, now that we're watching it, I think that was a great view off the rear wing of Brown, is to see how much ground Dibdall made up under braking there, and he may not have any other choice than to turn in that late, because he's staying on the brakes and getting onto the brakes so much later than Brown. He may just finally be getting the car woed up enough to finally turn in.
And that's one of those, you brake super late, which means you're forced to go a little deeper, you're forced to go a little tighter, but then you get a good run. You kind of diamond a little bit of the corner off. I don't know if you want to do that every lap. I think it'd be interesting to try a little bit of earlier braking and see if you can load that front end more gently and get that thing around the corner. But with hairpins, it's always a tough game. But I think you're right about Brown. He's able to recover whatever was going on there for a lap or so. Maybe, the tires had overheated for a little bit. He's kind of relaxed them. But he seems to have settled now, got that lead back up to 1 second. But watch that gap drop as Dibdall so much faster through turn 1. But can Dibdall now make the run down to the hairpin?
You can see there the rear end of the BMW just ahead of Dibdall. Alex Brown really stepped out wide as they came through that corner. We've got some more lap traffic that they're coming up on. And you can see there as Ruddick moves over to let both of these drivers through, almost coming to a complete stop there to get them through the hairpin.
Dibdall really being cautious about turning in, trying not to turn in too softly and end up on that exit curbing. He's trying to just be deliberate, taking the same line every time, showing very good consistency. The problem is he hasn't been able to get this back under 0.8 of a second at any point. He should be quicker through here, but he just hasn't been. Certainly not there through Mercedes, but he has been a little bit quicker through the 11-12 complex. Again, especially 11, the oval 1 corner, this one here. A little bit more of that high-speed stuff. The Porsche seems to eat this up really well. The other battle on the track right now seems to be the Hartley versus Saputo. Back under about 1.2 seconds, maybe about 1 second between them as they're fighting their way through traffic. That's the leader, Polasek, leading by Rob Hartley. That's just allowed Risaputo to get awfully close. If Risaputo can get by Polasek quickly, which he does. So yeah, this is another battle. So we've got the lead in GT3 AM up in the air, and the 3rd place on the podium for GT3 Pro still to be decided between these guys.
Come up on John Casey. Having to make a late little move there is Hartley with John Casey coming out of turns 13 and 14, and it looks like Risaputo has lost a little bit of ground as Casey moving over as far as he can, as quickly as he can, but Risaputo now dropping back to almost 2 seconds back. So great couple of corners there for the number 3 machine. As time is running down, we've got now only about 3 minutes remaining on the clock here. And with these laps at just a bit under 2 minutes and actually about a minute and a half for our drivers up at the front, we're looking at, probably another 2 laps.
I would say so, as Peikel's lead now has grown all the way to 14 seconds as he's continuing to lap the field. That's Russ Ruddick looking to go 2 laps down from leader Peikel, who's just been remarkable. You look at this, it's not just tonight, but now in the 5th round of this series this season, it's just been untouchable. I mean, for moments you'll think, okay, maybe there's something going on, maybe maybe tonight's going to be the night that Dam's able to run him down, and suddenly 10 minutes later, the lead's grown to 3, 4, 5 seconds. They go into the pits at 4 seconds. They come out at 6, and now it's 14 as Pico late in this race just continues to pound out lap after lap after lap. Qualifying laps 46 times over.
I was just saying, I was just going to say almost 47 times, just like the first lap. They look identical. They're almost timed identical. His fastest lap, a 35.8. He's down in the low 36s right now. You know, he's just Mr. Consistency.
He has been absolutely quick, even with an extra, 44 kilograms or whatever it is, 44 pounds on his 20 kilograms. He has been just untouchable. And with about 2 laps to go. Yeah,
and much like Mike Polisek there in the Honda Civic, is Polisek now with a 20-second advantage over Eric Violet. And we talked about this at the beginning of the season, Larry, that most of our drivers went to the Hyundai Elantra because they thought it was the chassis to have. It was probably the best all-round chassis. And the D2D iRacing guys, after having run last season in our sports car series in the Honda Civic Type R, had made the conscious decision to move over to the Elantra. And I guess perhaps it's not necessarily the chassis.
Yeah, at this point, the pace that he has had so far for Polisek is just untouchable. I don't know that the chassis at this point is going to matter because he has just been flying out there. Now, he's only comes into this event 6th in points. Well, that's just because he skipped 2 events and just doesn't have enough. Because he's has
run half the
he's
series
dominated at Fuji. He dominated at Mosport. And here he is in the middle of domination at Hockenheim, trying to pick up his 3rd win of the season with those 2 DNSs. It's just been tough to beat. And for everyone else, for Violet, he's done everything he can in the other 2 rounds to try and win or, finish 2nd in the cases where he's running against Polisek. And here he is again for Violet, trying to come home in 2nd place points. But kind of a fleeting effort the way that Polisek's been. Once he gets enough events, he's been hard to beat, and points are going to be in big abundance.
All right, well, Larry, I think we are on the very last lap, and I think that only because our ticker keeps jumping between 1:14:59 and 1:15. So we'll have to see here. I'm guessing that the next time Evan Pikel comes onto the front straight, he'll see that checkered flag in front of him. But let's watch this battle right now for the lead in AM as Alex Brown continues to hold an advantage over Dean Dibdahl, and they're going to come onto the front straight.
And they'll see the white flag because Evan Pikel is right behind them.
Behind them, exactly. As long as Pikel doesn't jump ahead of one of them here with just a couple corners left to go and end this battle, and I think it looks like Pikel's maybe backing off a little bit there to let them through. They should have 1 lap remaining.
Yep. But this guy has turned his needed laps and wins another round. Evan Pikel now 5 for 5 this season.
There you go. And we're waiting for Mike Damon. It might be a little while. He was about 18 seconds back at the flag. Next time he crosses, he'll come home in 2nd. It looks like Steve Daniel, his race is now done. He's going to come home in 3rd position in GT3 AM. There you go, Mike Dam crossing the line now. So let's watch this battle.
Brown went deep. He went deep in 2. Really got a terrible run, giving Dibdahl an opportunity as they go to the hairpin.
And here we go, as they are side by side now, coming under braking, going down into the hairpin. And look at how much the BMW comes down to the inside, really impacts his exit speed. But Dibdahl once again goes so deep that he can't make up the ground, Larry. It's probably the one time where he might have had a great advantage, and Dibdahl now he only has about a half a track remaining to try and figure out a way around the BMW of Brown for the lead in class, as Mike Polisek now coming across the stripe. He's going to take the win in TCR. Eric Violet should finish in 2nd. Brad Husty, for the 2nd week in a row, finishes on the 3rd step of the podium. But let's jump back here. Just a couple corners remain. Alex Brown, can he hold off the Porsche of Dean Dibdahl as they come onto the front straight? for the last time. Dibdall, can he poke down to the inside? No. And Alex Brown's going to take the win in GT3 AM. Dean Dibdall will finish second. Of course, Steve Daniel already crossed the line. He comes home in third. So Peichel, your overall winner. Dam finishing second. Robert Hartley comes home in third for Orion Racing. Just off the podium in pros, Nick Rasputo. GT3 AM, it's Brown, Dibdall, Daniel, Horn coming in fourth. And in TCR, Polisek, Violet, Husty with Nick Horvath coming home in fourth. All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Thank some of our sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here from the Hockenhiem ring. You are watching and have just seen round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. And we'll be right back.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and welcome back to the Hockenhiem ring, where we've just seen round number 5 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, and there is the finishing, the final order. Evan Peichel takes the win tonight at the Hockenhiem ring. Mike Dam finishing second for Orion Racing. Robert Hartley coming home in third. That's your pro category podium. Alex Brown from Primetime Motorsports takes the win in AM with Dean Dibdall finishing second. Steve Daniel coming home in third. And if we take a look at the TCR class, Mike Polisek takes home another win, I believe his third win of 5 for Full Send Racing. Eric Violet comes home in second. Brad Husty will come home in third. And so, Larry, I think we've got a full complement of drivers waiting to speak to us in the green room. Let's do this. Why don't we switch things up a little bit from what we normally do? Let's bring in first Evan Peichel. He's our winner tonight from the Hockenhiem ring.
All right, we're here with our overall and pro class winner, Evan Peichel. And Evan, they strapped on an extra 20 kilograms to your car, and it didn't seem to make much of a difference. Just a dominant race. Tell me about your view there. How comfortable were you tonight?
Well, I can tell you it did make a difference, and this is like my first time, I guess, actually racing this track. It's fun, but the off tracks are terrible.
Yeah.
In practice, I was getting like 2 or 3 a lap. I did not think I was gonna be able to qualify or even finish the race.
Yeah, it's just so tough. Everything around here, there's just so many places to pick those up. That hairpin is just brutal as always. But you looked like even as the race went on, maybe we thought Mike Dam might be able to hang with you a little bit. Then you guys got into traffic, got to the pit stops. You came out of the pit stops, and it was just like you just put your head down and just took off. Did you finally just get into that rhythm with the track and also with the lap traffic, or what kind of made the difference there in the second half?
Well, I feel like I was getting really unlucky with lap traffic in the first half, but then also at the end of after my pit stop, I started getting into a really nice rhythm.
Yeah, it showed for sure as your pace was just untouchable tonight. So that makes it 5 wins and 5 races, just utter dominance for you. I got to ask, who do you want to thank and who's supporting you on these?
Well, I want to thank John Robertson for what he does, and I want to thank my parents and my family all watching this, and everybody at Geodesic and all the team sponsors, and then Extreme for letting me race this season. Yeah.
Well, absolutely awesome.
You guys for putting on a great broadcast.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Hopefully I will try and do it justice, but what you've done is just kind of rewriting the books here on how to compete in this league. It's just been sheer dominance, the only way to put it. But unbelievable job. Great job, Evan. 5 wins in 5 rounds. This just keeps on rolling. So congrats on another win here tonight.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Evan Peichel, your winner tonight from the Hockenhiem Ring from Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing. And Larry, let's now move on to TCR. I'm going to save the best for last, I think. Let's bring in Eric Violet. He finished second tonight in TCR in the D2D Racing Hyundai Elantra.
Eric, tonight is probably a lot about damage limitation, but able to bring it home in second spot. What a tough race, tough place with multi-car class racing. But tell me about it from your point of view.
Oh, actually, traffic, got me a little bit in the beginning, but that was not the reason why I came in second. I was talking with Michael down in the waiting room, and I said my plan was kind of just to keep drafting him for the first, stint. And he got a really, really bad start, and I was like, oh, man. So that we went too wide. We're kind of battling it out there. I'm like, well, there's an opportunity. I'll take it. But with the cold tires, we went into that inner complex, and I don't know, I got second and a half back, and then from that point on, it was like I'd gain a 10th, he'd gain 2, I'd gain a 10th, he'd gain 2 more, and then once I got about 2 seconds, then traffic hit, and I think I was about 4 or 5 seconds, and I just watched him walk away after that point.
Yeah, he was pretty tough tonight, as he has been now in a couple of rounds that he's competed with us. So great to have the competition, but I'm sure at the same time it's sort of like, wow, I just wish I could be there with him.
Yeah, I'm glad to have him. I want this field. I want this field to be filled out. So we need more people of all skill levels. So if they stomp me out there, great. If they're back markers, fine. We just need more TCRs out there.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You guys look like you're just having an absolute blast out there. And another podium finish for you here tonight. It's a couple of seconds already this season to go with a couple of wins, but I tell you, got to keep practicing. Polisec's not slowing down, and so you got your work cut out for you going forward.
Yeah, I think I had about 6 hours this week for this one, so I'm not sure if I can get more there. Practice. People always say practice makes perfect. I think practice makes permanent. So if I've got any bad habits, they're just ingrained.
Yeah, well, it's still a great race for you tonight. Podium finishes are never anything to be down about, and I'm sure the gap will continue to close as the season goes on. So great job, Eric. Anybody you want to give a thanks to tonight?
As always, my family, again, the sponsors, we got Ricmotech on board, we got Proforma Elite Texas Graphics, and of course, it's nice to have you guys broadcasting this all the time. Apex Racing TV, big shout out to you guys. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Eric. Congrats on the second spot.
All right, there you go. That was Eric Violet finishing second tonight in TCR for D2D Racing. So let's bring in our winner in TCR tonight, driving the number 47 machine, your winner in TCR. That's Mike Polisek.
So Mike Polisek, I look at the point standings. I don't see at the top, but it seems like when you show up, all you do is dominate. So congrats on that. Another dominant win here tonight. Tell me a little bit about it from your point of view.
Thank you. It was quite a race. It was really nice and calm from the front. I had a really bad start, so Eric and I had a really nice fight at the end, at the start of the race, the first couple laps, and then once I was able to sort of start settling into a rhythm and starting to put down laps, then I could really just let the times go, and it was just a really nice chill race till the end.
Yeah, it seemed to be, and a couple of times some of the GT3s were, in their own little battles at that point. Are you able to recognize when they're in their own battles and when you can just kind of step aside and let them on through?
Well, the relative indicator is a really good example of it. So if I see two cars with consecutive position numbers, then I can assume that they're going to be fighting. So then I can just either hold my line or let them both go at the right point. And honestly, it was just not that bad. This track's pretty decent with multi-class, so the passing spots are pretty obvious, and it's usually pretty obvious what everybody's going to do. So thank you to everybody for being really predictable all race.
Yeah, seemed to be pretty good out there. Very few any kind of incidents, but your performance though, the car just kept getting faster. You kept pulling away throughout the race, laying down another victory. Hopefully, before the end of the season, you'll get enough to qualify for the get enough to have the drops no longer worry you. But because right now you are 3 for 3 when you do come out, and that's just been absolutely dominant. Anybody you want to give a shout out and thanks to for the help to get there? Absolutely,
I'd like to thank my team, Full Send Racing. All my friends and family that watch all my broadcasts and all my races, and I'd also like to thank my dad in particular for spotting me and helping me through every single race.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, having a personal spotter helping you out, family always is the best at doing that. So that's great, and gets a bird's eye view to watch you pull in another victory here tonight. So congrats, Mike, and 3 wins and 3 appearances. Hopefully you'll make it to the rest of the races. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you very much.
All right, there you go. Mike Polsek from Full Send Racing. And Larry, he came into the championship tonight in 6th. And after tonight finds himself 3rd in the championship, 24 points back from our leader. Probably 34 points back from our leader, Eric Violet from D2D eRacing. All right, so let's move over now. And the final person I think we're going to be talking to tonight took the win in GT3 AM, and definitely the most difficult, I think, battle for a podium spot here of anybody, Larry, and what a battle it was in GT3 AM between Brown and Dean Dibdahl, and of course we had Andrew Packer in there as well. So let's bring in Alex Brown, our winner in GT3 AM.
Alex Brown taking home the win tonight in the GT3 AM, but boy, that was one heck of a race. And I'm not just talking about the finish there with you and trying to hold off Dean, but you had quite a battle earlier with Nate Thomas and with Dean. Yeah, unbelievable battles tonight. Tell me about it as you saw it.
It was definitely not the most perfect race by any of us, but I think sometimes that imperfection leads to some excitement. Yeah, that was pretty exciting. Just before the pit stops there, with the 3 of us going into the hairpin and all 3 of us getting into it. And I mean, Dean had spun earlier, and I don't know, it was like survival there at the end.
It looked like you had a little bit of contact, though, I think, with Nate in his Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Did that seem to bother the car at all? Was the car still running straight?
I think I had bothered the car before that. The whole race, I was just in my own head a little bit. I think I had some pace at times. I would argue that Dean had most of the pace, and then I forget who it was, one of the pro drivers passed me, and then I feel like I just had gotten out of my rhythm, and that's when Nate was running me down at that point. And then at that point you're seeing it 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds, 2 seconds. Next thing you know, they're right up on you with Dean right behind there, and it was I'm happy that all of us kind of, I got through that. Dean got through that. I don't know what happened to Nate, but I'm out of breath.
It sounds like it. Yeah, because you survived all that. You're able to come into the pits. Maybe that was your 30-second breather to get you caught back up. But the end of the race, suddenly Dean is, again, that 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, 0.2 of a second. He's nailing the exit at 2. You at times are struggling. He's sort of taking a late apex to hairpin. And you're kind of running wide and kind of on the ragged edge. At that point, is the tire shot? Are you tired? And Are you just driving mirrors? Because you're able to hold them off, but boy, you really had to work to get them.
Yeah, I was probably doing a lot of mirror driving at that point. Here's my grand excuse here. I'm an oval guy. I'm an oval guy. I love road courses, and I've always wanted to challenge myself at this. So I'm imperfect at these road courses. So, you know, when you have a guy that I think, you know, Dean is probably a lot more experienced than I am, albeit he is in our AM division, but I see that he has more pace. Like, I'll admit it, the guy's in my head at that point, and I just see it because he would dip a little into it, then I would gain a little back, and then he would dip a little bit more, and then I'd maybe get a few tenths of that back, and it was just, I was mirror watching, time watching, everything.
Well, I tell you, from our point of view, it was an awesome battle to watch. You guys definitely took different lines throughout the laps. Really fascinating to watch how that would all come together. But in the end, your last 3-4 laps were nearly perfect, able to just hit those points. Maybe you just finally settle in and say, well, he's there if he's going to make a move or not. But you're able to hold him off and take victory here tonight and show everybody that, you know, sometimes oval guys know how to turn left and right. And you managed to do both very, very well tonight and take home the victory in GT3 AM. So, Alex, I got to ask you, anybody you want to thank and for all this going on?
Yeah, you know what? Shout out to Ed Morris. He runs the oval side of Extreme. Partnered up with him on this year, and also John Sterling. You know, longtime close friend, online racing. Happy to take on this new endeavor with him. I got to thank D-Dub Button Boxes. They are the sponsor on my car. Good Canadian company. Thumbs up to that. And they sell, surprise, bear with me here, button boxes.
Wow, who knew?
Right. Yeah, look them up on Facebook. D-Dub, D-E-E-D-U-B, Dub, button boxes on Facebook. Dennis over there will, you know, hook you up, especially if you're Canadian. I believe it's a great place to go. I mean, Ricmotech for sponsoring this the series. Kevin for just his absolute passion for all of this. Jeff there for, you know, keeping us in line at the start of the races and sometimes in the middle of them. And I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody, and sponsors of the league, Extreme just in general. I think they've got an amazing thing going on here. Support the road side, support the oval side. It's incredible.
Absolutely, yes. And I suggest any of our oval or road course drivers that listen to this, maybe go dabble in some of them oval races and show that you could do one or the other and realize how hard both of these can be. And Alex, tonight you showed that you can go back and forth and maybe even get a little bit of victory here in the one that maybe isn't your strength. But you showed a strength tonight. Victory in GT3 AM. Congrats, Alex, on that.
Thanks, Ira.
All right, there you go. That was Andrew Packer, your winner tonight
Alex
in
Brown.
AM, and you know, want to go and apologize. Or I'm sorry, did I say that? Wow, I'm just all about the wrong Canadians here. Alex Brown, I mean, our winner tonight in AM, and this may be the last night that I ever. Somebody's gonna have to call Angela Lansbury.
Wait, you need to do the most Canadian thing ever for mixing up the Canadians and just say you're sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, I work for a Canadian company during the day. I wanted to. I talk to Canadians all day long. I wanted to have nothing but Canadians on the podium here tonight, and I just picked the wrong Canadian. So, you know, if we could have had Scott Brooks and Nick Horvath on the podium in TCR, it just would have been the best thing ever for me tonight. But congratulations to Alex Brown, our winner in GT3 AM. All right, so Larry, before they cart me away and I never end up on primetime television, like our good friends from Murder, She Wrote. Let's take a look at our upcoming events here in the different Ricmotech series. Next week, whether they let me on the air again or not, we're going to have rounds 7 and 8 of the Classic Sprint Series. And surprise, surprise, Larry, we're going to Mosport, going to the Canadian Tire Motorsports.
And joining me next week's broadcast will be Don Cherry.
That's right.
Replacing Greg Ginsburg.
Replacing Greg Ginsburg for hockey night. I mean, for racing night in Canada. Exactly. That'll be next Monday night at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. In 2 weeks, the World Challenge. We head back to for the second time this season. We're going to head back to Japan. We're going to be at Suzuka, and this is going to be one of our 90-minute races. So if you think I'm loopy after 75, wait till you hear me after 90. And that is round 6 of 7. You know, and only, well, that makes sense. Only 2 more races left in this season of the World Challenge. And then January 9th, yes, we finally have it. We have our starting venue for round number 1 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It's going to be Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta, 60-minute run to the checker for our GT4 and TCR cars. So if you want more information about the World Challenge, you can go to xmsracing.com/WC Series. And Larry and I hopefully will see you next week, Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.